Hello and welcome to round 6 of Grand Prix Kansas City. I'm Ben Swartz, joined here in the booth by Marshall Sutcliffe, and we have quite a match for you. On the right-hand side of your screen, you see William Jensen casting Serum Visions on his first turn, playing against, on the left-hand side of your screen, Khare.
Yeah, now a good start here for Huey, as he's known. And he's going to put both on top, so not great news for Anand. Let's see what he has, though, to kick things off with. There's a noble Hierarch in his hand.
Looks like he is on the Kiki Pod deck.
Which is generally Naya colored with blue.
Yep. Allows you to go off pretty quickly. We saw quite a few people playing that maybe a year ago. It was really popular.
Yeah.
Back Grand Prix Columbus time.
Yep. I remember Luis Scott Vargas was playing that deck at the time. And here's the turn 2 Goblin Electromancer for Huey. He's going to pass the turn back. Anand's deck gives him access to some pretty interesting things that the Malirapod deck doesn't get. One of the keys is Phantasmal Image. That allows him to search up and copy really a lot of different things on his opponents and his side of the board at the 2-mana slot, meaning he can turn his Noble Hierarchs into whatever else he wants to turn them into. And being that they can be sacrificed pretty easily, they're not as vulnerable to spot removal.
Okay, so Anand's second turn here. Access to potentially 3 mana, thanks to that Noble Hierarch, but he's got to be a little wary of what Jensen can produce. Yeah, so Deceiver Exarch on William Huey Jensen's upkeep step is going to tap down one of the lands, make it a little bit more difficult to cast something. It looks like Huey's hand is pretty stacked. He's got 2 Metamorphos, and a couple of Rituals. So is he just going to... No, he's going to cast Metamorphos here. Maybe go off kind of instant speed, right? Because most of the spells are instants, and then he can just wait till his main phase to cast Grape Shots.
All right, looks like he just wanted to get his draw step in the Metamorphos draw to just kind of cycle through there.
Okay.
All right, here's 4 mana for Anand, and he's got a Murderous Redcap, which is going to take down that Goblin Electromancer, and he's going to take a damage from the Exarch. Now, we talked about this.
That's huge there.
It is absolutely huge. We talked about this earlier. Goblin Electromancer, a really great addition to the Storm deck, with the one exception, and it's a really big one, that it turns on your opponent's creature removal, where the old version of the Storm deck effectively blanked all of that removal. And we see that here. Normally a Murderous Redcap against Huey's deck would be like take 2, and you're going to take some damage from over the course of the game, but it's just not an issue. Instead, Anand is able to use it to take out really one of the key mana generators for Huey's deck, the Electromancer.
Yeah, I mean, Huey does have Pyromancer's Ascension here, but he's pretty far behind, right? Like,
he is.
Anand, well, he's not amounting a ton of pressure.
No.
Only has about 3 power. He is pretty close to being able to kill his opponent if he just has like a Kiki Jiki, or he doesn't run Splinter Twin main, but like a Birthing Pod, he could pod for Kiki Jiki and win.
Yeah, the next turn he could do that.
So Huey's got to be cognizant of that. And it looks like he's...
I mean, heck, if he just has a Kiki Jiki in his hand and a land, he can get him too. I mean, he's in...
So Desperate Ritual for Huey.
Desperate indeed.
And with 3 mana, he's going to cast Pyretic Ritual. Go up to 4 mana, and then cast Pyromancer's Ascension, 2 mana floating. Cast Metamorphos to get a counter on the Pyromancer's Ascension and get some blue mana.
Yeah, this could be it. He could go off this turn. That's the Storm count there that you see in front, I think. And then one of them's going to be for the mana. No, one of them's just going to be a...
I mean, he's really stuck here, right? Because, like, depending on what colors he names...
He's just going to make blue.
Okay. He gets Serum Visions.
And that's going to trigger it. So now all of a sudden, Pyromancer Ascension is active.
Okay. So he's scrying 1 blue mana floating, right?
That's right.
He really needed to draw a land there to be able to go off. It doesn't look like he did. Looks like he drew a Grape Shot.
He did put 1 card on top, though.
Blue mana, he's going to cast Sleight of Hand, get 2 copies of it. But no mana floating now, right?
Should not be any. He does get another sleight of hand here, though, to try to find that land. He sees an Electromancer and some non-land card, I believe.
Yeah, so just passes the turn back. Threatening a pretty explosive turn if he can untap, but we see a birthing
There's
pod.
the birthing pod, and that's it. He's going to make him do it, but he can sacrifice the red cap, go get Kiki Jiki, make 1,000,000,007 Deceiver Exarch, and attack.
Yep, and that should be it. Oh, he's Zealous Conscripts? What, am I missing something here? He just wants to...
Well, he can just do it again, but he's already got the Deceiver Exarch, so...
Huey is saying that Anand missed the trigger for the murder side cap?
No, hold on.
That came back.
Yeah,
he came back.
No, the one that came back, and then I got PPG, and then these two are
Yeah.
Not sure what went on there, but...
So there was just a little miscommunication about what was coming back and what was doing what, but
Okay.
either way, Anand found a way to finish off his opponent there.
It's not like he needed that Zealous Conscripts there. He had
I don't think
Deceiver
he
Exarch.
did, no.
It's not like there was a Soul Warden or something, right?
Right.
From my fire spout is dealt damage.
All right, so Anand Khare able to take down the first game versus Huey Jensen.
Basically, I'm fire spouting these three away.
William Huey Jensen is somebody who's on a lot of people's ballots that are going on right now for the Pro Tour Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He's somebody who missed making it into the Hall of Fame last year
By one
by
vote.
a solitary vote. He's got, I believe, 4 Pro Tour top 8s to his name. And he's somebody who has, yeah, here, let's take a look at some of the all-time Hall of Fame ballot notable candidates here.
With most pro points, sitting at the top is Tomoharu Saito.
Yep, he's got the most pro points of the group that is up for voting for this year. Luis Scott Vargas is next at 351.
Shota Yasoka has 321 points, an absurd number of points. Only really has 1.5 top 8s, depending on how you count them, right? He's got a regular top 8, and he top 8'd the Players' Championship last year, top
Finals
forward.
did, yeah.
Martin Yuza of the Czech Republic, 318 points, a ton of pro points.
Yeah.
An outrageous number of pro points.
Yeah, a ton of, I think he's got 17 GP top 8s as well. Really one of the best European players out there.
One of the best limited players out there, too.
Absolutely.
Tsuyoshi Ikeda.
Yep, we see
After
Ben
that-
Stark, who we had on camera earlier. Also, Katsuhiro Mari. I should let you pronounce the Japanese
And
one since you can speak Japanese.
Makihito Mahara thereafter, 281 points. Falling behind him, you get a good amount of American players. Antonino De Rosa, Gerard Fabiano, Justin Gary, Paul Rietzel. We just saw Paul Rietzel last round. All sitting 275, 255, 252, 250 pro points. After that, former world champion Carlos Ramao, Eric Froelich, Osip Levidovic, Guillaume Wafo-Tapa, and Jerry Thompson. And then finally, at 219 points, we see William Jensen.
Yeah, William Huey doesn't have the bulk of Pro Tour points that other people do, but he has really made his time count when he's been on the train. Now he's an old school player. You know, he's a guy that's been around forever, and he gets a lot of respect from the old school crowd. You know, somebody like me who came back to the game relatively recently, I didn't know who he was. You know, I had to kind of learn for myself, and he's really made a great push in the last couple of years. He's been out at these GPs. He's here in Kansas City. We're seeing him on camera right now during this match. You can get a look at him there, and you know, he's somebody who's really made a nice push. He managed to win a tournament with Reed Duke and Owen Turtenwald, a team event. You know, so like he's really kind of put his name back into the fold, and I know, having spoken with him about it, how much it would mean to him to be in the Hall of Fame for the Pro Tour. So that'll be interesting to see if he gets in this year.
He's worried. I'm not sure if he should be. I mean, you kind of have to be worried as long as your name isn't Luis Scott Vargas.
Yes,
but
I agree. Yeah, there's a lot of different factors that go into how people vote. For those of you that aren't familiar with the system, it's you know, you can vote based on stats, but there's other things that are taken into consideration as well. You know, community contributions, level of play for duration of time is something that I hear a lot of people talk about. A lot of people say this guy was the best, but he only played for a year and a half. You know, and I really want somebody who's the best that played for 3 or 4 years in a row. And maintaining that level to do it. You know, sometimes just raw stats will outweigh everything, where it just kind of becomes questionable. You know, some players have had checkered pass, you know, and that's the kind of thing that weighs in differently for different people. Some people say, look, you know, maybe they got banned for a while, they served their time, we're done here, you know, and other people say, no, I don't think so. And so there's a lot of discussion. If you're on Twitter and you follow a bunch of Magic players,
Hashtag MTGHOF.
that's right, you'll see people talk about it all week, actually for the next few weeks, and it's already been since earlier this week that it's been going. It's a really interesting discussion, and it's really interesting to see how different people approach how they're going to vote.
Players have drawn their opening hands here. Game 2, Anon up a game against William Jensen. And Huey here is going to start off with a mountain.
18.
So Huey and Owen are playing the same deck here. I know that they're really good friends.
Now, turn 1 Noble Hierarch for Anand is pretty bad.
Instead of drawing your card, I saw the second card of mine.
All right, so what happened here is Anand went to draw his card for the turn. He accidentally picked up 2 cards.
Okay.
Top card.
So you can hear the judge.
Sure. This is a looking at extra cards penalty. And do you have any others today? Okay. We're going to shuffle this portion of your library.
So
And
Shuffle my whole library.
yes, shuffle your library, and then you're going to have a looking at extra cards.
All right, so you guys could hear the judge there on the stream. It's a looking at cards penalty. That's a big, big difference between that and a drawing extra cards penalty. Drawing extra cards is often a game loss. You know, there's other circumstances that can affect what the actual resolution of that is, but it's very often a game loss. But since he didn't actually take the cards into his hand, they didn't touch the other cards in his hand, he had just barely picked them up, he just receives a warning for that.
and Lightning Bolt from Huey is going to try to take out that Noble Hierarch.
We see that Huey's missed a land drop, and he's just trying to stay at parity on lands here. Huey's on the play, and he misses another land drop. Now, the good news for Huey is that this deck really only needs 2 to 3 lands to operate, but
Yeah.
he's 1 to 2 lands away from being able to do that. So, and here on the upkeep, there's a Deceiver Exarch that's going to get flashed in by Anand, and it has a special ability, tap or untap target permanent. He's going to use to tap down that mountain to make sure that Huey doesn't get even 2 mana for a single turn here. And in fact, he's missed another land drop. Anand's going to attack for just 1, and he's going to follow up with one of the more fragile but still powerful creatures in the format there, Fauna Shaman. All right, so Huey's in an interesting position here, though, because he's actually still not under a ton of actual pressure, right?
Yeah,
and
but
the things that he discards are going to be really important if he has a card like Pyromancer Ascension in his hand.
Huey's just like 1 turn away from dying, right? Any creature from Anand's hand, he can go tutor up a
Yes,
Kiki-Jiki.
he is.
And
He is
if
in a
Anand gets
horrible spot here.
another red source, which he has in his hand, Sacred Foundry, that's game.
Now, Anand isn't showing him out of courtesy for saying that he's going to beat him. He's showing him because of the Gataxian probe, but the writing's going to be on the wall for Huey here. He says, probe you again. He's trying to hit that second land.
Yeah,
and he
anything.
hits it here.
Okay.
But unfortunately, like you said, Fauna Shaman can be activated on Anand's turn. He can ditch that Restoration Angel. He can go get Kiki-Jiki, and he can cast Kiki-Jiki and then go off.
So Misty Rainforest comes down. Is there anything? So I guess Huey could cast a couple rituals here, and then
Maybe Grape Shot.
yeah, it doesn't matter though. Because Anand still has that Restoration Angel in hand, so he can
Yeah.
play Restoration Angel on end turn, Fauna Shaman up, Kiki-Jiki. I think he's got 2 creatures in his hand, right?
I saw the Restoration Angel for sure. I didn't see the other. So
Okay, well if not, then
even then, wouldn't Huey have to get up to 4 to take out the Deceiver?
Right, you could
Exarch
cast like
anyway?
a ritual or a Manamorphose and then Grape Shot.
because he has to kill. Yeah, and then, like you said, it can just be protected. All right, well,
Storm
let's see
count
if-
here is 2.
Let's see what Huey can come up with here. He's in a really desperate position, but this guy almost made it into the Hall of Fame last year. He's about a vote short. So he certainly has been in tight spots like this before and gotten himself out of it. Let's see if he can manage to do it here. There's a mountain for Anand. Setting up the second red source.
Yep.
He was a second creature there with the kitchen finks that you mentioned, Ben.
So what is Anon going to get here in response to the Desperate Ritual?
I don't know. No, he's just going to get Kiki Jiki and show him?
Maybe he's afraid of Sudden Shock.
He's been playing too much Modern Masters
No,
lately?
I mean, that was a card that was in the Storm decks, sideboards.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A long time ago. I don't know if
No,
they continue
you're
to play
probably
it,
right. That makes sense.
Desperate was like my hand was just elder, option veil before land. So it's not like there was a
because it's like the only way that Anon can lose here, right?
Right, it was. Like, I was
He still has that Restoration Angel in his hand. So even if Huey's able to get enough storm count to kill the Deceiver Exarch, he can just save it.
I mean, he'll also have another card to combo off with Kiki Jiki.
That's true. Restoration
Kiki
Angel
Jiki
does
Restoration
the same
Angel
thing.
does work, yeah.
That's true. So he has redundancy for his awesome game plan. That can't be great for Huey here.
He draws a Cascade Bluffs. He'll sleight of hand. And didn't see what he put in his hand there.
Did not either. We saw a sleight of hand hit the yard. Here's another Mana Morpho. So storm count's getting pretty high here. And he does have the Grape Shot, but we know that that is not going to be a plan. Now, what if he can get the Grape Shot up to like 8 or even 12? Because they do resolve in order, right? So like if he goes, I'll put one on the Exarch, one on the Exarch, one on the Exarch. Now when he puts that fourth one on, Anon is like, well, I'm going to save it with my Angel.
No, you have to declare all targets.
Oh, you have to declare them all at once?
Yeah.
Okay. Even then, Anon could just wait till end step and just flash in the Angel. So this is just a horrible spot for Huey. It just keeps getting worse the more I think about it.
Another taxing probe. I wonder what Storm is at this point. Can you hear that? I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Hugh's going to do the best he can, but I mean he knows that Anon has that Restoration Angel.
And Huey didn't have enough to storm out and actually kill Anon.
Yeah. And so Anon's just going to play Sacred Foundry.
Well, he's got to take the 2 life, but whatever. All right.
And that's the match.
And
Anon Khare defeats William Huey Jensen 2 games to 1, advances to 5-1 here at Grand Prix Kansas City.
This is curious. I mean, that puts Huey at 4-2 and in danger of not making day 2 potentially if he doesn't win out.
Yeah.
And it also means that assuming he had the 3 buys, you know, 1 and 2 is not amazing here. I wonder if Storm is not the deck for the weekend potentially.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we saw Owen lose with it last round, right?
Yeah. So there's we'll keep an eye on that as we go. That is one of the things that you see out here is that it kind of fluctuates what's the best deck for a given weekend, even if the pool of decks, while large, is somewhat static. You know, we haven't had any big blockbuster new decks come in too recently, but they're constantly being tweaked and changed, and it kind of depends on the week for which deck happens to be the best. You get to look at some of the key cards from the Storm deck here.
Yep. So Storm, as we've said earlier, gets kind of completely ignore what the opponent's doing, and the pilot can sculpt their hand until they have inevitability, right? Until they can pretty much go off at their leisure, right? Like they can wait until they're almost dead and then try to go off. Unfortunately, in that last game, right, Huey stumbled a little bit, stumbled on lands, so he couldn't go off until he really needed to, until he saw that he was pretty much dead.
Yeah.
Right. He had to go off with pretty much no cards that could help him go off. Only 2 lands, no Electromancer, no Pyromancer Ascension.
Right, and that's what we saw. It was a key thing because Pyromancer Ascension and Goblin Electromancer are the cards that power that deck from doing what Huey just did with it, which was like he got 7 whatever storm count going and had a Grape Shot, which is pretty decent. That's 1 turn and he only had a land to start it. Like, that's pretty good. But that's what the Pyromancer Ascension being active and the Goblin Electromancer are what allows that deck to take that turn and turn it into you're just dead.
Yeah.
But he needed the mana and he missed what, 4 or 5 land drops in a row or something. Like it's going to be hard to win any game of Magic when you do that. This deck has a decent chance. I mean, like I said, we did see it, but it's going to be just super tough. We just had Huey walk by and kind of give us the shrug, like, yeah, what am I supposed to do, man?
Yeah.
Didn't hit enough lands. Here's one of the versions of the deck that he was playing against, the Kiki Pod deck, and we got to see some interesting things from there, and it can do a lot of crazy stuff that we didn't get to see.
It's got access to like tons of different creatures in multiple different colors and can do some really awesome stuff. It trades that for sort of the real raw power of the creatures in the normal Malaria Pod deck.
Yes.
So like, well, you've got Phantasmal Image that you can do these cute things where you sack a mana guide to go get Phantasmal Image, to go, copy your Deceiver Exarch to untap your Birthing Pod, and then you sack your Phantasmal Image, which is now a 3-drop, to go get, another creature. There's something you can do to chain them all into immediately winning. You go get a Restoration Angel, which then bounces your Deceiver Exarch, which you can then untap
Pod again.
And then activate Pod again and sacrifice Restoration Angel and go get Kiki Jiki and win.
That's right, and it's a really it also has access to multiple ways to interact with Kiki Jiki. It's got Deceiver Exarch, which we saw. It can run Pestermite, although I don't think that it does.
No.
And then it can also run things like Village Bell Ringers.
Yep, and we've got a game for you guys. James Searles on the left-hand side of your screen facing off against David Sharfman on the right-hand side of your screen. David Sharfman is probably playing the same exact list that Ben Stark is playing, Scapeshift. James Searles seems to be playing Affinity here with a Vault Scourge attacking into the red zone.
Yeah, David Sharfman's very, very adept at this particular deck. We've seen him play it here at the GP stage before, and he's had great success with it as well.
He's up a game here this match. And James plays Steel Overseer on his second turn.
I missed 17-19, correct?
Sharfman looking to see what he can do on his second turn. He's going to cast Izzet Charm to get rid of that Steel Overseer.
Another great use of Izzet Charm. We've seen it a little earlier in the day, and that card has made a dang decent splash here in Modern. Such a versatile card that decks that can cast it have a hard time not putting it in. It's really good. Second Vault Scourge for James Searles is pretty unimpressive, but there's a Spell Pierce. Wow.
And search for tomorrow.
Out of the sideboard to take down.
Well, Sharfman's just going to pay the 2 mana.
Yeah,
but
so it's just going to tap him out for the turn, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, knock him off of a couple mana. So that's not really that good here, right? I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, it's better than trying to wait and cast it on Scapeshift, because
they always have.
Yeah, you're almost always going to have extra mana.
Yeah, it's just not super impressive here, as I mean, he still has a land drop coming too.
Yep. Nature's Claim out of the board for Sharfman. Looks like Huey let us know that he thinks that he maybe got a little greedy. He thought that if he drew a land in that second game, he would win, and probably should have just mulliganed.
I see.
So yeah, Sharfman just plays a Breeding Pool tapped and passes the turn back to Searles, who plays a Cranial Plating, not enough mana to equip it. But, Sharfman draws Cryptic Command there. That's huge.
Cryptic Command, one of the most powerful spells in the format. And David Sharfman is going to be sure to get maximum value out of that. Let's see what James wants to do. He wants to get that Cranial Plating equipped, but he doesn't. If he goes for it, it's going to mean it's going to restrict the cards that he can cast in this turn, especially if David Sharfman with 4 mana up, just destroys it in response, destroys the Vault Scourge, bounces something, taps him down, just gets any type of tempo advantage. All right, so he's going to lead things off here with an Etched Champion and just say, look, is this resolving or what?
Almost assuredly, Sharfman's going to counter and then either tap the team or bounce Cranial Plating.
Yeah, bouncing Cranial Plating is a great way, especially if your opponent can't recast immediately, to be able to counter it on the way back down on the other side.
I mean, he could also draw a card here. I think he probably wants to bounce the Cranial Plating. No, just going to draw a card. Okay.
And they're both going to attack.
Yep. Sharfman goes down to 12. Searles up to 22.
And that's really important.
Yeah.
The difference between 18 And above 18 is huge, and anything above 21 is also huge. It's basically another turn for David Sharfman a lot of the times. Here's the Khare Tri-Belter, which cuts that turn down again. You know, these lands, having lands on the battlefield is the name of the game here for David Sharfman. And
yeah, it depends exactly what Sharfman's list is. Like, there's some lists of Valakut or of Scapeshift that can't beat more than a certain amount of life.
it's true. And Sharfman's is absolutely one of those. We saw him on camera, and I think San Diego, which was also a modern GP, where his opponent had played like 3 lightning helixes and like flashed one back, and Sharfman just didn't have enough punch in the deck to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, we see Sharfman here has 6 lands in play, has an extra land available to him with Khare Tri-Belter, and has a land in hand. So access to 8 lands before he can cast Scapeshift. The question is, does he have enough mountains? If he's got 6 more mountains left in his deck, he can get 2 Valakuts and 6 mountains, right? It's 36 damage, if my math.
If he has 2 Valakuts?
2 Valakuts and 6 mountains is 36, right? So that would be able to take out Searles. Question is, does he still have 6 mountains left in his deck?
All right, here's a Nature's Claim for the cranial plating.
He has to use it here.
He does. James is going to jump up even more life here. Yeah, David Sharfman's deck does not have a lot of ways to get in incidental damage. Khare Tri-Belter is one of the best. And it's not very good at it. Yeah. So this is really interesting because the combination of those 2 Vault Scourges and the Nature's Claim has pumped James Searles' life total up to 26 here. And David Sharfman already has 3 of his mountains on the battlefield as well. We'll try to get the deck list to see how many mountains he has total, but...
I mean, probably a bunch, because Sharfman's casting another Nature's Claim here to take out Mox Opal.
All right, we've got the deck list here.
So Sharfman's got 2 mountains, 4 steam vents, 4 stomping grounds. That's 10. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4. So he can't get 6, and it looks like as long as he doesn't draw a mountain on his turn, he's fine. He's got 1 mountain in hand, and now
James Searles is up to 31 now.
Can deal 36 damage here. Sacrifice all his lands, go get 2 Valakuts and 6 mountains.
Now let's see if James makes him do it, because you absolutely should here.
Yeah. Okay, so James says, okay, sacrifice your lands. Is Sharfman not going to do it all? He's only going to sacrifice 6. Is he going to get rid of all of them? He's double checking. He knows how many lands are in his deck. Yep. They're all going to hit the bin.
All right. Those nervous moments when you're like, what was in my deck again? He's been playing this for a while, though, so he certainly is aware.
1 Valakut, 1 mountain, 2 mountains, 3 mountains, 4 mountains, 5 mountains, and the 6th mountain, 36 damage. David Sharfman.
And he says, do it all to you, and that's it. David Sharfman 2-0 over James Searles here. And James had a reasonable opening there, but he didn't really get a lot of value out of that Spell Pierce.